Good day, guys. In this chapter, we'll touch theories on friction, viscosity, and surface tension. Let's dive straight into it. Question 1. Friction. The frictional force between two bodies dash. They say exists only when there's relative motion. So they're talking about what friction depends on and what it doesn't depend on. I want us to jot down a bit of point. Right. Friction depends on the nature of surfaces in contact. II. Friction increases to the same extent as the force which causes it. Good. And so number 1, so the frictional force between two bodies, you see it here, has all the above characteristics. So let's take down more characteristics. I. Friction exists only when there is a relative motion or tendency for motion. That's number 3. You should jot down. 4. IV. Friction acts to oppose the motion of one body sliding over the other. Next, friction depends on the normal reaction between the two surfaces. And lastly, friction is relatively independent of the area in contact. Friction is relatively independent of the area in contact. So those are the 6 factors that friction depends on. Number 2, which of the following does not? So 1 is E. So which of the following does not cause a reduction of the surface tension of water? Camphor doesn't cause a reduction. Camphor, option D. Now, right, substances which lowers the surface tension of water are called surfactant. Surfactant, surfactant. Surfactant. Now you could say which one will they lower the surface tension of water? Number 1, let me mention them, then I'll talk about each. Number 1, detergent. Notice if you put water for bucket, you can add a little bit of detergent, then maybe use your hand, shake the water a bit. That thing they call foam, now they call for chemistry leather. Okay, leather, now they call, and that leather way go dey form. Wetin don actually happen be say the surface tension of water has been broken. The surface tension of water has been broken. When I would run through some demonstrative video, I'm going to in-depthly demonstrate how surface tension works for you. So let's write down. Number 1, detergent. Number 2, natural fat and oil. Example, palm oil. Number 3, alcohol. Number 4, warming. When you warm the water, when you heat water, it also lowers the surface tension. It lowers the surface tension. And also lastly, petroleum fractions. Example, grease. So sometimes they might not use petroleum fraction, they might use grease. So or grease. Detergent, put in that place of detergent or soap. Alcohol or hair. Natural fat or oil or palm oil, you get. Thank you. So number 2, which of these does not? They reduce the surface tension. Now this one, alcohol will reduce, grease, soap, detergent, but camphor no they reduce them. Let's go to number 3. Number 3 is calculation. 4, same thing. 5, let's touch 5. Which of the following statement about friction is not correct? You see, it's not correct. Option B, the first. Option C, the first. Number 5, the angle of friction is the angle between the normal reaction and the force friction. I'm going to work on videos on friction for you guys, demonstrative videos, so you will see what this statement mean. I would come back. I'll try to remind you guys of this. Number 5, they say which of the following statement about friction is not correct? They say the angle of friction is the angle between normal reaction and the force friction. That is not correct. But the other options, they are on point. Number 6. Okay, you have a diagram here. A brick is at rest on an horizontal table and is pulled by a horizontal cord. This cord, as shown in the diagram, the force of friction on the brick. What will happen to the force of friction on the brick? Increases if the pull increases, but the brick does not move. Option A, it will increase if the force of friction on the cord increases if the as shown, the force of friction on the brick, the force of friction on this brick would increase if you increase the pull, but the brick does not move. Number 6 is option A. 7 has to do with some numbers. Would go 8, the same thing. 9, the same thing. 10, let's touch 10. If a beaker is filled with water, it is observed that the surface of the water is not horizontal at the glass-water interface. Glass-water interface. Next. Okay, let's go back to it again. If a beaker is filled with water, it is observed that the surface of the water is not horizontal at the glass-water interface. This behavior is due to surface tension. Number 10, the behavior is due to surface tension. Let's write what is surface tension. Surface tension is actually a phenomena that causes this. Surface tension is a phenomena that causes water to behave like a stretched elastic skin. I'm being specific here. It could be for other factors too, but this one is for water. When water behaves like a stretched elastic skin, they call it surface tension. Number 11 has to be calculation. 12. 14. In which of the following is surface tension important? 14. In which of the following is surface tension important? So when the water surface behaves like a stretched elastic skin, we say surface tension, right? The floating of a dry needle in water. See now. So normally everything will enter on where you hit the top of the water supposed to sink to the bottom, no be so. But what about when some things hit the top and they float on top, they don't sink inside? That one I go call on surface tension. So surface tension 14 is option B. When the floating of a dry needle on the surface of the water. 15. A small steel needle is carefully floated on water in a beaker. When a few drops of kerosene are introduced into the water, the needle sinks. Which of the following statement correctly explain the observation? 15. You have they say I. There is a tension on the water surface. Kerosene reduces the density of water so that the needle becomes denser than the water. Kerosene reduces the surface tension of water. Number 15 is option E. There is a tension on the water surface I and I. Kerosene also reduces the surface tension of water. Surface tension meaning it go make sure say the water no come fit make the needle float again. That's why the needle sink. Remember, once the needle fit float, that be the concept of surface tension. Notice not be everything go fit float on water, but guess what? Literally everything float. Even the items that you think will sink in water is actually because there's been a break of the surface tension. In this case now, example, introducing kerosene, there are factors that breaks that surface tension, or else the items will float on the surface of water. That one for another time, probably a demonstrative video. 18. Alright, let's touch 19. Which of the following statements are true about frictional force? First, let's write advantages and disadvantages of friction. Advantages: 1. It makes walking possible. Number 2. It prevents tires of automobile from skidding. Skidding. 3. It prevents the farm belt of machinery from slipping. Number 4. It enables the brake system to work. The next one, it also helps grindstones work on grindstones. Yeah, they work on the principle of friction. Grindstones. Now to the disadvantages of friction: it causes wear and tear, it generates heat, and it also makes machine to be less efficient and waste energy. So 19 is option C. Yeah, it is sometimes disadvantage here, and I. It always exists where there is a relative motion of the bodies that are in contact. 19 is option C. Next, 20. The figure above shows a block of mass M sliding down a rough inclined plane PQ at angle theta. See the angle here. The force acting on the block along the plane QPR. Number 20 is option B, mg sine theta, and the force of friction. There are demonstrative videos already that portray this to help you understand it more. Number 21. For a rough inclined plane on which lies a body of weight W, the angle in the diagram above becomes the angle of friction if A 21 if A, which is the tan theta, equals to the coefficient of static friction. 21 is option A, which is this. Next, run through a piece of wire gauze can be made to lie on water the surface tension should come to your mind. The water surface has the effect of an elastic skin. 22 is option C. 23, a parachute attains a terminal velocity when the viscous force of the air and the upthrust are completely counteract or counterbalance each other, or they counteract its weight. 23 is option B. 24, when the brake in a car are applied, the frictional force on the tires will do what? There would be an advantage because it is in the opposite direction of the motion of the car. Option D. 15, the frictional force is independent. So I'm talking about factors affecting friction. I'll go over it, then I'll check. Okay. It depends on the nature of substance, frictional force, speed. 25 is A. First, the frictional force is independent of the area of surface in contact. Don't forget, you've written this down. The frictional force depends on the nature of the surface in contact. 1 minute. IV, the frictional force is directly proportional to the normal reaction. The frictional force depends on the speed sliding, which is like we have sliding and static friction. I and IV. Option C. I and IV. 23 is C. Let me see the option A again. The frictional force depends on the nature of the surface in contact. Depends on it. It's independent of the area of the surface in contact. Okay, they say nature. Yeah, it's this one. 25 is option A. First, the frictional force is independent of the area of the surface in contact, but it depends on the nature, whether the thing is smooth or plain or is a rough surface. And IV. 25 is option A. 26. The effect of a particle in a fluid attaining the terminal velocity is that the weight is equal to the retarding force. We've touched similar thing just now. 26 is option A. 27. Which of the following is the correct shape of the velocity time graph of a spherical steel ball dropped into a viscous fluid in a tall cylinder? 27 is option D. Here is the correct answer. 28 has to do with calculation. 29. 30. Water does not drop through an open umbrella of thick material unless the inside of the umbrella is touched. This is due to surface tension. 30 is also surface tension. 31. As the pressure of a fluid increases, its viscosity will do what? Its viscosity will listen. Actually, what will happen is that the viscosity will decrease. If you increase pressure, viscosity will decrease. But most times it is negligible, except except it's of high pressure. So take note. So normally the answer is supposed to be decrease, which is 31, which is option A. But they say as the pressure of a fluid increases, the viscosity will do what? Decrease. Sure, but it doesn't really decrease. What will only make it to actually decrease is when the pressure is very high. You get? So the correct answer to this is increase. As the pressure of a fluid increases, the viscosity would decrease, then increase. That's just how it is. So which one would you pick? It will be increase. But if there's no increase, you go with decrease, meaning the pressure is a serious pressure. Like it's high pressure. If it's a high pressure, if not high pressure, it will cause them to decrease at once. But if not be high pressure, it will decrease, then it will continue to the increase. So 31 are D. Let's see 34. In an experiment to determine terminal velocity, as the pressure increases, you see the viscosity will do what? Decrease then increase. You see, increase then decrease. 34. Remember, I say in go decrease, then it go still increase again. No get time. So 34, 34, right? What would you pick? What would you pick here now? As in an experiment to determine terminal velocity, as the pressure increases, the viscosity will do what? It will decrease. Option B. Now you say, but sir, why you go pick decrease? Why you no pick increase? Well, then say as the pressure increases, meaning the pressure here is appreciable, high one. 35. Counting of currency note with moist finger is based on the principle of adhesion. Adhesion. Where is, let me see. Adhesion is option C. 36 has to do with numbers, calculation, demonstrative video. 38. The terminal velocity of a ball bearing. Ball bearing, that's one that they call Boris. That small, tiny, round, this in which children they use play. The terminal velocity of a ball bearing falling through a viscous fluid is reached when velocity is uniform. Option D. 39. The surface of a conveyor belt are made rough so as to prevent the load from slipping, thereby causing friction. 39 is option A. 40. Which of the following could be effectively used to reduce friction? Remember, I gave items that are used to reduce friction. 40 is option D, grease. 45 has to do with numbers. 46 is a diagram. The diagram above shows a wooden block. We've touched similar thing like this already under question 13. The correct answer here is option B, tan theta. No need to waste our time. That it is 44. 42 is option B. 44. The coefficient of friction between two perfectly smooth surfaces is 44 is 0. 46. When the temperature of a liquid is increased, temperature of a liquid, this one now is slightly different from pressure. Its surface tension will do what? Decrease. This one straight up decrease. Remember we said warming of water decreases surface tension. The friction which exists between two layers of a liquid in relative motion is called viscosity. Yeah, viscosity. So 46 is option D. Alright, thanks for watching. If you've gone through this video, I expected that. Alright, so if you've followed through this series, I would like you to jot your notes down, snap and send to us on the WhatsApp group. Please be notified if this is your first time of coming across our videos. We run daily classes, and if you like to enroll, I'm going to leave a link in the description box. Thanks for watching. I'll see you in the next video.